Everybody. How are we all doing today? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, home of Birdland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm excited for today's show. It's one more day before the start of the 4th of July weekend. Boy, I wish I was at the beach right now, but I'm providing a show for you guys for the next hour or so, right? So I hope you all are going to stay safe wherever you're going on the 4th of July. But during the next 59 minutes, I'll keep you entertained with some very interesting sports topics. So without further ado, before I get into them, on this 83rd show, and I hope you all are having a good week. And first the 3 times, use promo code 12OC Sports, all caps, for a deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. And the first thing I'm going to start off with today is, let's see, the NHL has finally decided its hub cities. So where are we going? Are we staying in the United States? No, we're not staying in the United States to play hockey for the rest of the 2020 season. Let's pack our bags and we're going to Canada. That's where we're going to complete the hockey season. The Eastern Conference teams are going to Toronto. And the Western Conference teams are going to Edmonton, barring anything at the last second. Speaking of barring things at the last second, Vegas was supposed to be one of the 2 destinations until the coronavirus spikes occurred. That's where they were supposed to go. It was all set in stone, but then yet again, the United States of America can't seem to get out of its own way, can it, with the coronavirus? Seems like to me that Canada and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has done a better job of handling these cases than President Donald J. Trump has, and this is why we're having hockey in Canada and we're not having hockey in the United States. And this is why the NBA is questioning as to why, if we're even going to finish the year, and we're also worried about that in baseball. And I'm not trying to say that hockey isn't worried. What I'm saying is, it's a darn lot safer to play a sport in Canada right now without fans than it is to play in the United States because of our corrupt government that we have. And it doesn't seem like there's a corrupt government up there in Canada, and I've been told I've been probably wrong, which I probably wouldn't be surprised about. All I have to say is, props to the NHL. Yes, I know it's a Canadian sport, but it's kind of pathetic when you have 7 out of your 10 destination cities from the United States. You had Dallas, you had Pittsburgh, you had not St. Louis, you had Chicago, you had Minneapolis, St. Paul, Los Angeles, and Columbus. And to tell me you could not land one time, you couldn't land one hub city for the United States, and 24 out of your 31 NHL teams are from the United States. It's absolutely pathetic. And it just goes to show that the United States has been a poorish job with the coronavirus. The NBA's got a team in Toronto, and so does the MLB. But the NBA's not backing out of Disney World. They're not. Maybe they should go to play where the Raptors play. Or maybe in a suburb city. Canada doesn't mind basketball. I don't think Canada would mind. Yes, I know your only team is Toronto. And yes, it's a hockey city, but I guess you got to take what you got to take, right? And baseball, they're going to be playing at all home ballparks. And I'm not even sure the old Canadian government wants the Blue Jays back in the town. with this hockey stuff. It just happened so to fit that yesterday happened to be Canada Day. And I'm not surprised that the NHL did this. Because you know what this tells me? When you announce when your office is in Toronto and New York. Okay? And say Bettman works in New York. Which is where he does. And there's also other league offices in Toronto. When you're a commissioner who works in New York, and on Canada say, we are going to play in Canada, not the United States for the rest of the year, Gary Bettman sticks the big middle finger to the United States government and to the whole rest of the country, saying basically, go take a hike. We are not playing in your country with the coronavirus spikes. We're going to Canada to a country that actually has handled it well. I mean, am I not seeing anything correct here? Because that's what it seems like. It seems like to me that Canada has done so much better than the United States has have. And yes, I know Canada has a way less population than the United States. But you can't tell me for 1 second that the NHL could have gotten at least one hub city in the United States. And that's the United States' own fault. That's not the NHL's fault. That's not the NHL's fault. You're going to blame the NHL for that? If you're going to blame the NHL for backing out of Vegas, then you got your own problems. I'd definitely go play in Canada right now. I wouldn't want to play anywhere in the United States. Although I guess you could take what you get. If I was a professional player, I would go play. But I mean, it's just such a sticky situation with all this right now, what's going on in this world. And it's probably going to be more official today, and they're trying to figure out a CBA with a flat salary cap. That's going to get very interesting. Plus, they got the Seattle expansion draft going on next year. And speaking of Seattle, I'm going to transition into this. Should the NBA bring a team back to Seattle? Should they? Well, I was going through the teams across the NBA. There are 5 teams that came to mind. They are, that should maybe move back to Seattle, the Sacramento Kings, that's 1, the Memphis Grizzlies, that's 2, the Phoenix Suns, that's 3, the Orlando Magic, that's 4, and number 5 is the New Orleans Pelicans. So those are my 5 teams that I think should maybe move to Seattle. Okay. So I think the least likely out of the 5 to make a move is I don't think the New Orleans Pelicans move anywhere with Zion Williamson in town. And I believe that the Pelicans are going to show up for him. I don't think it would be a good business move right now for the Pelicans to move out. And you also have the New Orleans Saints over there. Next, Phoenix Suns. I could see it. And they were talking about maybe the Arizona Coyotes moving. But no, they'll probably stay put. Arizona's it's a big market. Big, small market, I guess you could say the right terms for that. Next, Orlando Magic. I could see it, but it doesn't make sense with the West East. Memphis Grizzlies. I could see it, but I think they moved too many times. And plus, they were recently moved to Memphis. So that leaves me with one team. That team is the Sacramento Kings. So why does the Sacramento Kings make the most sense to become the next Seattle Supersonics? Reason number 1. They are the 4th most favorite team in California. You already have the most beloved Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most iconic figures in the NBA. You had the Los Angeles Clippers, That was another team maybe if they couldn't get out of the Staples Center, if they couldn't buy their own arena. But because of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they're not going anywhere. And then, next, and then the Golden State Warriors. You have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on that team. And what else do you have? Oh, and Golden State's become one of the best franchises in the NBA. With Curry being the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors, he's basically transitioned the game of basketball. That's why the three-point shot's relevant. Because of him. And another thing is, Sacramento can't seem to get its own marketing brand. No. If Sacramento moves to Seattle, let alone they will make off more money, the brand Seattle, they will make more money off of national television. The NBA will put Seattle on TV. They will put them on TV. The brand Supersonics sounds so much more relevant than the Sacramento Kings do. No one gives a rip if a team's in Sacramento and they stink from the S to the K. They simply don't care. Want to know what will care? Bring back the Supersonics. Move them to the Climate Pledge Arena. And this is where the NHL is going to have a team after 2020-2021. So this would make the most sense for an NBA team to go back to Seattle. It really would. Do the Kings really bring any fans to the arenas? Well, they've been there since 1985. And the owner is Vivek Ranadive. They have not made the playoffs since 2005 and 2006. They lost in 6 games to the San Antonio Spurs that year. Yeah, it was to the San Antonio Spurs. I can't believe it's been that long since they have not made it to the playoffs. Next, they made it to the playoffs in 9 to 12 years from 1994 to 2006. Their best shot to make it to the NBA Finals was in 2001-2002 when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in 7 games. And they have missed the playoffs for 13 straight seasons. It's most likely going to be 14 straight. It's most likely going to be 14 straight seasons that they missed the playoffs. And what do you do if you're the Sacramento Kings? What do you do? You move to Seattle, who has not had a franchise since the 2008 season. In 1967, the Seattle Supersonics were founded. They won 1 NBA title in 1979. And they were also in another NBA Finals appearance against the Chicago Bulls. I don't know how many of you guys were watching the Last Dance documentary that featured Michael Jordan. But then yet again, though that was interesting. The Seattle Supersonics, we need Seattle back. Because what attracted me to talk about the Seattle Supersonics today was a couple of reasons. Reason number 1. The Seattle, because I saw a picture the other day on Twitter. This was last week or early this week, late last week or early this week, that had a picture when Kevin Durant was drafted by Seattle, and he had a picture when Greg Oden was the number 1 pick with Portland. What also attracted me, number 2, is when I saw a picture of James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant wearing them. I know James Harden did not play a game for Seattle. Westbrook was drafted by Seattle, but then it moved basically the same summer in 2008. And those are some interesting times. Staying on Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. I'm really curious if there's going to be a documentary, a 30 for 31 day, about those 3 players, about maybe they should have won many more championships than they already did. Here's what I also find interesting about all that. There was an NBA 2K video game. Don't remember the year. Might have been NBA 2K13. It was the year after they lost to the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals in 6 games. And Steve Kerr was a broadcaster on TNT at the time and also on the video game. And I remember, I guess they voice animate this stuff beforehand, and Steve Kerr on the voice animated things like, yeah, they're good. The Thunder are probably going to appear in multiple NBA Finals appearances, maybe on multiple championships. Actually, that happened to be his team with the Golden State Warriors. They happened to went to 5 straight NBA Finals appearances. Well, I didn't realize he was how do I say? Self-profitizing himself when it came to basketball. Maybe he was being a prophet, maybe not for the Thunder, but maybe for his own team that he was coaching. And yeah, he was supposed to maybe coach the Knicks, but he happened to coach the Golden State Warriors, and you know the rest of the history from there. So I think it'd be fantastic if you bring back the Seattle Supersonics. Okay, Luke Walton's your head coach, and he's good at developing players. He happened to get fired from the Los Angeles Lakers job last year. And here are some of the young players that Sacramento has to offer. And they do have a couple of marketable guys. De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley III are two of the definitely most marketable players on that team. They have also Kyle Guy, Buddy Hield, Kent Bazemore, Harrison Barnes, Harry Giles III, Nemanja Bjelica, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I know there's 2 Bogdan Bogdanovic. One's on the Pacers and one is on the Kings. It's very easy to confuse the 2 of them. Rashawn Holmes, Jabari Parker, and Alex Len nonetheless. And they'll be actually reporting down to Orlando sometime next week. And I'm very curious to see how this rolls around. And I know Jabari Parker had the coronavirus, and he's recovered. So let me go into my next segment of the coronavirus cases with the NBA teams. So, will the Brooklyn Nets actually field an NBA team when they go down to Orlando? So, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, DeAndre Jordan, and Wilson Chandler are not reporting to Orlando. They are not reporting at the Walt Disney Studio Resorts when the season resumes on Thursday, July 30th. They're not going, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be fielding much of a team. Oh, and Spencer Dinwiddie also came down with the coronavirus, but he's unsure if he's going to be able to travel with the team or not. If he does travel with the team, then that's great. And then who's going to be your best player if he doesn't come? Karis LeVert, they're going to take a big-time hit. And they're already short-handed to begin with. You have what? Jared Allen, Donza Musa, Ronus Kuric, Joe Harris. I mean, come on. I'm just sitting here like, who did the Nets have? Oh, and Chris Chiozza? And then, yeah, Joe Harris could shoot deep from the outside. It's just like the Nets are shorthanded. And as of right now, Spencer Dinwiddie is the heartbeat and heart and soul of the Nets right now because you don't have Durant or Irving because he gives you 20 points a game. Spencer Dinwiddie is a very reliable player. And so is Karis LeVert and some of the other guys on the Nets. Oh, and you got Jacques Vaughn, who maybe's trying to prove himself with the Nets. And the Nets aren't going anywhere. And I found it so hypocritical to begin with that Irving wanted nothing to do. I guess Irving wanted nothing to do with the restart in the first place. Talk about, oh, maybe none of the NBA players should come back. Oh, BS. Okay? First of all, it's BS to begin with. Because you want to know why it's all BS? Because let me say this. Because Kyrie Irving is just like, as I've said about him before, a wannabe LeBron. He doesn't have the alpha male like him. And you just can't be someone to pretend to be that you're not. I'm sorry, but it's as simple as that. You just can't pretend to be something that you're not. So, and here's some more other interesting reporting. The Washington Wizards. No John Wall. And another interesting player is Bradley Beal. What I find interesting about Bradley Beal is that if they lose him, they're losing their heartbeat, their heart and soul of the Washington Wizards. It's as simple as that. Or is Bradley Beal skipping out for one reason and one reason only? Bradley Beal may be skipping out of games for one reason and one reason only. Trade bait? Is there a secret thing deep down he doesn't want to go because he doesn't want to get traded? Is that the reason why Bradley Beal doesn't want to go? Is that he wants to get traded and out of DC, although he's talked about wanting to stay with the Wizards for his entire career? It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case and if Bradley Beal wanted to get out of DC. It simply would not surprise me. What does surprise me is that he's one of their best players, and I guess he thinks that they don't have a shot. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he thinks that they don't have a shot. But we'll see what happens. So the Denver Nuggets shut down the team facilities because of the coronavirus. They got to go down to Florida next week anyways. They also got Nikola Jokic, the RP heart soul of the Denver Nuggets, and he hopes to get back in this country from Croatia after testing positive for the coronavirus. He's one of their key players. I'm real curious to see how he's going to be. He's lean, he's this, he's that. Jokic is a really, really strong player. You have Jamal Murray, Gary Harris. As I've said before on this show, he is one of the best players, and I'm really curious to see how it's all going to work for him at the end of the day. I'm just so curious how it's all going to work out for him. Next up, and I can't believe I forgot to get to this earlier, but NFL training camp and the preseason. So training camp is supposed to begin on July 28th. The 28th of July is when training camp is supposed to begin. I read an article this morning that rookies are supposed to report July 19th to start their coronavirus testing. They will start the coronavirus testing on July 19th for rookies. And on the 23rd of July, injured veterans will report. And on July 26th, everyone else is going to be reporting. So it seems like at the end of July, we're going to start seeing the four major sports. Like, our eyes are going to light up with all these camps. And if all these games are going to start, we're like, sports, let's go! And I remember a friend of mine, my friend Evan McHugh, is a big fan of this show. I hope he listens to it. And he always sends me a text message. And it always gets me hyped up. It goes back to when high school days, at where I used to go, Wyoming Valley West, Employment PA, and in college, and we still text each other. And he sends me those "let's go" text messages sometimes, and I'm just like pumped. I'm like, let's go, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be nice to see sports again. And with the NFL, this was reported by Mike Garafolo and Tom Pelissero. And the NFL also cut down on preseason games. It's going from 4 to 2. And here's the question. Is this the new normal? Are we going to see no more than 2 preseason games? Possible that we're not going to see more than 2 preseason games. I mean, this may be it. This may be the new norm of the NFL preseason. You have training camp. Maybe you have more intra-squad matches, as in, for example, say the Giants are hosting training camp. You invite the Jets. Maybe to have that more, maybe they'll do that more rather than having an actual preseason game. Because, let's face it, starters are never playing in the preseason again. That's just a fact. It's only going to be for the guys that are just competing for roster spots and undrafted free agents. Or maybe some other rookies too. This is a new day in the NFL when it comes to this. It's an absolutely brand new day with the NFL. Training camp, the preseason, and the first week of preseason, August 20th through the 24th, and week 2 is August 27th. And Brandon McManus, a kicker in the NFL, thinks it may be 0 or 1. But I think that's bad for undrafted free agents and other guys that are trying to make the roster. How could you judge a roster fairly? How could you judge a guy fairly without any game action? Say for example, a guy, you know the old phrase, workout warriors? And it's like, oh, this guy's great in practice. Let's put this guy on the team instead of this team. But then you realize you get to a game and you say, oh, this guy can't do squat in a game. But this guy who kind of struggles in practice, who kind of doesn't get it through in practice, gets it through in a game. That's just a matter of it all. I mean, that's kind of weird. That's just how I feel about the entire situation. That's going to be a new norm in the NFL. Maybe this was an excuse for them now to switch it up. But you're going to see this a lot in the NFL now. Excuse me. 2 preseason games. That's all you're going to see. And more intra-squad matches. You're not doing intra-squad matches this year. And then they're only practicing at their own team facilities. Next year, they'll probably be able to go back to some teams like to practice in different areas like colleges. I know the Pittsburgh Steelers like to do St. Vincent Latrobe in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. I know someone from high school that used to Aaron Austin. I remember him. He goes there. So I'm like, yeah, it's a very long show today. But that's okay. We're getting through it, right? Good job for the first 27 minutes. And I'm going to say my second promo code right about now. Use promo code 12OZ Sports, all caps, for a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. So, done with the NFL training camp talk. And here is what's next. I'm going to have to start creating some of these topics on the fly here because I'm running out of things on the script, but that's okay. So, Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports 1 decided to do a top 10 quarterbacks list in the AFC. So, I decided to do the AFC and the NFC. Let's see what we think going heading into the 2020 season. The 10th best quarterback in the AFC, in my opinion, heading into 2020 is Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is a primed quarterback to be, and he's going to be very good. The coaches have told him to slow down already. They have basically told him to slow down in team meetings. I saw that somewhere, and he's grasping information like never before. And he's just a bright kid from Athens, Ohio. Joe Burrow, he's got guys like AJ Green, Joe Mixon, and Tyler Boyd. And number 9, Drew Lock of the Denver Broncos. Drew Lock, I think, is going to pop this year. There's no doubt in my mind Drew Lock's going to pop. Drew Lock, he went 3-1, 4-1 in his last 5 games. Drew Lock's got more receiving help this year. He has Pat Shurmur as the offensive coordinator. And I think he's going to lead Denver to the playoffs this year. I think he's going to lead them to the playoffs. I'd be a little surprised if he didn't. Number 8, Sam Darnold and the New York Jets. Sam Darnold has nothing to work with, but he's got all the touch and all the touch and all the pizzazz to be very good. Number 7, Ryan Tannehill, Tennessee Titans. Led them the AFC Championship game. Yes, I know they relied on Derrick Henry a lot to run the ball. But let's be real. You don't get to the AFC Championship game without Tannehill. Let's be honest. The Titans were 2-4 with Marcus Mariota. Now, how do you think A.J. Brown popped? And why do you think they were actually able to run the football more effectively? With Mariota, you could stack in a box. Tannehill, yeah, I guess you could stack in a box. But he could beat you. Tannehill has a better arm than Mariota, and he beats you over the top. With A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Khalif Raymond, you also got 3 solid tight ends. And Jonnu Smith and Anthony Fersker and Michael Pruitt. Number 6, Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns. He better be in for a big year. Baker Mayfield has a bunch of talent around him. Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Austin Hooper, and the offensive line's been upgraded. It's no more excuses for Baker Mayfield under first-year head coach Kevin Stefanski, who happened to fix Kirk Cousins last year as the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. But let's be real here. If he doesn't fix up Baker Mayfield, then they're going to have to, I don't know if they're going to move on from him, but they're going to have to figure out something with him because Case Keenum is the backup for the Cleveland Browns. And he's been actually decent. Number 5, Cam Newton, New England. He's got the talent, and I'm sure Bill Belichick is going to like him a lot. And there was a video on Twitter yesterday that I found interesting. You know how guys are like, oh, you've been there before? There's a video that was released that I don't know what year it was from. But Belichick, I guess, was going in the film room. It had to have been a while ago because it was when Champ Bailey was playing, because what I saw in the highlight for the Broncos. It's like, you got to celebrate a play that you make. Show excitement. Show your teammates that they are excited. And I'm sure Bill Belichick's going to like that out of Cam Newton, because Belichick's like, you worked so hard to make that play. Show enthusiasm. And he's like, it's kind of hard to play football without enthusiasm. So it's like, yeah, he definitely has a point, Belichick. Absolutely, and he's going to like that from Cam a lot, and I'm curious to see even if he's going to roll with Cam week 1 or not. And I know a lot of people like Jared Stidham and think, oh, he's the guy. We'll see. Number 4, Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is a very interesting character. Josh Allen, I think, could be very erratic, but he's got the athleticism, he's got the arm talent, he definitely has the IQ to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he has the IQ. It's just a matter of getting the tools together with Sean McDermott and that offensive staff. Number 3, Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans. Boy, where would they be without him? He is the heartbeat and heart soul of the Houston Texans, and I don't know where they would be without him. I really don't know where they would be without Deshaun Watson. Houston. I really don't know where they would be. Because without him, they're a 2 or 3 win team, but then yet again, I'm so critical of Bill O'Brien from time to time. I mean, I really am. He still has Brandon Cooks. He has Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb and Kenny Stills and Will Fuller, but I'm not sure who he really has at tight end, though. Number 2, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see what kind of stride he takes this year. Can he take that big hit? My dad and I were talking about it, but we'll see. I'm curious to see Lamar Jackson's going to take that big hit this year. Last but not least, even though he won the MVP last year, number 1, and he's also got to improve in the playoffs, number 1, shocker, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. Surprise, surprise, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, and you got to figure out what you got to do for him for payment. Nonetheless, all right, moving on to the NFC. The NFC top quarterbacks. Number 10, Jared Goff of the Los Angeles Rams. When he has time to throw, he can throw a bucket ball, he can throw it in there. Needs time, he needs protection, and he needs Cam Akers to help him out in the run game. You don't have Brandon Cooks anymore. The receiving core seems thin. He's got to rely on his tight ends more. Sean McVay needs to be creative. Because it seems like to me that the league has caught up to him. Very simple. The league has simply caught up to Sean McVay. Let's see if he can readjust and out-coach guys like Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers and Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks. And then yet again, you got an up-and-coming coach, potentially in Cliff Kingsbury. We'll see how Jared Goff does this year for Los Angeles Rams nonetheless. Number 9, Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone's going to be like to me, whoa, whoa, whoa! Why is Dak Prescott so low? Stop. Take a deep breath. All right. Why do I say this? Listen to me, guys. Dak Prescott, yeah, he had the second, third most passing yards last year. Oh, boy. I can't believe. But let me say this. Dak Prescott, numbers lied. They simply lied. That's a fact. I mean, he did great against the bad teams. But he did outright horrible against better teams this year. Hold on one second. So, he did better against the bad teams, but against the good teams, he basically laid an egg. It's as simple as that. At number 8, I just realized this on my script. I had to change it. I had Matthew Stafford for the Detroit Lions, but I had to cross him off my list entirely and put Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. Why? And everyone's going to come on me. Yeah, this guy's crazy. This guy is this guy's that. No, I'm not. You think Aaron Rodgers is... You think he's been playing that good despite only having 4 interceptions? First of all, I don't like his leadership very much. And yes, I know they won 13-3 last year. Don't you think there's a reason why Matt LaFleur wanted Jordan Love drafted? He's sick of Rodgers' act. Rodgers doesn't seem to have the support by the Packers. It's as simple as that. And you want to know something else about Aaron Rodgers? He doesn't take risk. And I agree with Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports 1. He doesn't go down the field. He checks, and they just simply hand the ball off to Aaron Jones. He only has his Devontae Adams. He doesn't have any other playmakers. And it seems like Aaron Rodgers can't make other receivers better anymore. Number 7, Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. You're like, what? Listen, Daniel Jones, in the next 3 years, I'm not talking about tomorrow, in the next 3 years, I would probably rather have Jones than Rodgers. In the next 3 years. Because I think Rodgers may be done. He may have another serious injury. And for Daniel Jones, he may be hitting the prime of his career. And maybe knocking on the door, maybe to win an MVP, or maybe getting the Giants close to a Super Bowl appearance. Maybe. But he's put it into work. He's put on muscle. The teammates absolutely love him down. Joe Judge, the new coach, loves him. And if the Giants offense stays healthy this year, assuming hopefully we have a football season, I 100% believe that Daniel Jones could lead this team to the playoffs. And there's another guy that I think that's going to like, and I've said this on the show many times. Offensive coordinator Jason Garrett, I think, is working with a better quarterback in New York than he was when in Dallas with Dak Prescott. That's what I believe, and I'm trying very hard not to be biased, even though with the whole Giants and Cowboys thing. That's what I feel about Daniel Jones. Because he's the right leader for this team. He's very mature. He's just a very humble guy. Nonetheless. Number 6, Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo was a couple throws away from leading the 49ers to a Super Bowl, their 6th. But he just shot over Emmanuel Sanders, and they lost. Maybe had he reached him for a touchdown, maybe Patrick Mahomes leads them down the field to win anyways. Maybe he does. But he didn't. And I think Garoppolo still has a lot more potential. And there's a reason why Bill Belichick didn't want to get rid of him. Jimmy Garoppolo is, I think, could be a top 10 quarterback. He maybe already be there. Number 5, Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. He's got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Now he has Hayden Hurst after losing Austin Hooper. Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. Julio Jones is getting older, but Matt Ryan could still fling it. He definitely could, and they're going to try to get back to the playoffs this year. If not, then it's probably the end of Dan Quinn. Number 4, Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though he's 42 years old, 41, 42, I like Brady a lot. He's got better weapons. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate. And I hope they have a good enough running game to support him. Number 3, Drew Brees. The New Orleans Saints. And this is probably the last ride with Drew Brees. It's the last ride with him. And Drew Brees, you got Taysom Hill, and you also got Jameis Winston backing him up. Number 2, Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think talent-wise he's there. And as long as he can stay healthy, almost won an MVP. And I'm very high on Carson Wentz. I know some of you Eagles fans are probably like, oh, Jalen Hurts this year. He's going to take over Carson Wentz. We want Jalen Hurts as our starting quarterback. You guys are downright simply out of your mind. Jalen Hurts is a system guy. He can't throw the ball deep like Carson Wentz into a tight window. You all are crazy. You simply are crazy. If you actually believe that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz is, how do you call yourself an Eagles fan? And I'm not an Eagles fan, and I know that that's simply true, that Carson Wentz is a much better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. You want to know what you have to do? Watch film. Watch the film on the two of them. That's all you got to do. The film says everything on quarterbacks and on other positions in football. It's as simple as that. There are some things when you watch film, and you're like, he did that? How do you teach someone to do something like that? And those are just some of the tendencies and athleticism that Carson Wentz has that I don't think Jalen Hurts does. But Carson Wentz is the guy. Let's be real. Whether you like it or not, Philadelphia Eagles fans, Carson Wentz is your guy. Get over it. Just please. With the whole Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts saga, please stop it. Oh, and you also got Nate Sudfeld. I don't want to hear any more of your nonsense about this. Let's grow up. I mean, come on. Number 1, shocker, Russell Wilson. First of all, Russell Wilson. Without Russell Wilson, the Seattle Seahawks are a 2-14 team. He's carried the Seahawks franchise. Yeah, he does have a Super Bowl. He should have 2. And Carolina Wilson be a hero, not Lynch against the Patriots. But life and y'all make mistakes, right? I don't understand what Darren Bovell, the offense coordinator, was calling at that time for Russell Wilson. But then yet again, Russell Wilson's a great leader in the community. He's what you want in a franchise quarterback. He's going to go into Seattle Seahawks Ring of Honor one day. You want to know what he's also going to do one day, Russell Wilson? I'm going to tell you what he's going to do one day. Russell Wilson one day will also be in the Football Hall of Fame. Will he be first ballot? That's going to be very interesting. But he's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm going to tell you at least 2 quarterbacks, maybe 2 to 3 in each conference I left out. Who did I leave out in the NFC? Really only one, technically speaking. Matthew Stafford, the Detroit Lions. Some may argue that Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals may be in there. How about the AFC? Some will tell you Ben Roethlisberger, but I'm not really sold he's going to be healthy. Excuse me, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you got Derek Carr for the Vegas Raiders, and Phillip Rivers for the Indianapolis Colts. That's how I feel. And then, is there another one in the NFC? Some people like Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not a big fan of Teddy Bridgewater. Am I a fan of Teddy Bridgewater? No, but I'm also not a fan of Phillip Rivers. Oh, and I'm curious to see how Teddy Bridgewater is going to do this year with the Carolina Panthers. So I got one more topic on my script for today, but let's see if I can figure out anything else after that. So MLB training camps opened up yesterday on July 1st. I already previewed about what I think is going to happen this year in the MLB, though nonetheless, at least we are technically 3 weeks away from either today or tomorrow from opening day. It's going to be the 23rd or the 24th of July, and I'm so excited. I am so excited that we are going to see baseball very soon. And there have been some guys that have already opted out. Washington Nationals first baseman Ryan Zimmerman and starting pitcher relief pitcher Joe Ross has also, nonetheless, and Arizona Diamondbacks starting pitcher Mike Leake has also opted out to restart the season in baseball, though nonetheless. So, are we going to see any more opt-outs? Maybe. I don't know if we will. I hope not. But I understand why. Oh, and Ian Desmond of the Colorado Rockies is opting out. He's not coming back. He'll hopefully come back in 2021. So these are tough times right now. But I'm real curious to see what's going to happen in baseball this year. You're going to have no fans in the park. But speaking of fans, I saw this with what the Oakland Athletics are going to do. So you got to send in a picture, a selfie of yourself in A's gear. So you know how they have cardboard cutouts of fans, say at soccer arenas? So you're going to have cardboard cutouts of fans at Oakland A's games, and you're going to have to get it to a certain time. Have to hand and send in the picture to them at a certain date. So, you're going to have the cutout board for you at the game. If there is a foul ball that hits that specific cardboard cutout, they will get a foul ball from it. And I think that's a pretty cool gesture by the Oakland A's. Maybe other teams should follow suit. Will they? I think that's going to be very interesting to see. Because you're not going to have fans. Will they have automated crowd noise on TV? And the schedule also has not been released yet. With the schedule not being released yet, although there are reports saying that the New York Yankees and the Washington Nationals are going to be the first game, maybe in 3 weeks from tonight. That would be cool on ESPN. See the Nationals raise the banner. And of course, that would be without fans. That would be without fans. That's going to probably be the case for the entire 2020 season. And let's hope we get fans, back in the ballpark in 2021. And speaking of getting things back, in 2021. Let's see if we can have minor league baseball back. The future of minor league baseball is I'm curious to see how it's going to be next year. They started cutting minor league teams. They started cutting minor leaguers. And the minor league season has been canceled. Everyone wants to go see minor league baseball and see things develop. This is what I think minor league baseball has to do. You still have AAA. You still have AA. And you still have single A. So you definitely have those three. High single A. And then you need one more level. You will do the single and then the single A. Get rid of will they get rid of the New York Penn League? Will they get rid of the shortened seasons that start in June? And also the rookie balls and all those PCL leagues, GCL leagues? I mean, I don't think there's a point in those leagues. It's like rookie ball, basically. It's like watching a summer league game, which I personally think they should just. I think there's way too many minor league baseball teams. There's way too many. And then you got to figure out what's the closest city to each. You got to figure out all these like legal terms for which teams you could buy out. It's a whole It's got to be a whole complicated process. This has to be a whole complicated process with baseball. With the minor league system. Without minor league baseball, you have no MLB. That's just how I feel. You have to have a development. And by the way, with the 60-man roster, you cannot do this. You can only do this for this year due to the circumstances. You cannot do this in the future with your taxi squad. You have to have these prospects because you're going back to 20 rounds of the MLB draft next year. You're going back to it, and maybe that should be the same way. Maybe no more 20, 25. 30 the max, but you're never going back to 40 again. So you have AAA, AA, High A, and Single A. So you have 4 teams. 4 minor league teams each. And you have 25, 25, 25, 25, or you have 26, 26, 26, and 26. So 26 times 4 is around 104. So you have 104 players on each minor league team. And you still get to have your 40-man roster. Oh, and by the way, those journeymen, AAA will no longer maybe be a journeyman league. You know what AAA maybe become if you do it like that? My dad and I were discussing, it's going to become you're really one step closer to the major leagues, and it's not going to be one of those quad A kind of things anymore. That's what I feel like that AAA will become. And AA, I think, is the best league right now. My dad and I, we were discussing about this, and I actually like AA the best. I actually happen to like AA baseball more than AAA baseball. And no, it's not because of the small stadiums and getting all the free t-shirts and getting all the free foul balls sitting close right behind the dugout. It's because that's where the best prospects are. And want to know what I like best about it? Before every time I go to a minor league baseball game, I'm always looking up who the best prospects are. Every single time I go to one. And without fail, I don't care what team it is. It is my number one curiosity when I go see the minor leagues. And that better be your number one curiosity too when you go watch the minor leagues. Because why you going to a minor league baseball game otherwise? Yes, I know you want to have fun and drink your beer and sometimes have all the drunk people in the background chanting sports, sports, sports all the time. Okay? But let's be real. I go to minor league baseball games because I want to see what prospects are next up to make the majors. And I've talked about this with a couple of people sometimes, how I think it's absolutely fantastic. And even though I've watched minor league hockey games before, I've watched minor league hockey. I just don't think hockey doesn't have the same feel as a prospect as it does in baseball. I know my Uncle Frank might feel that way about the hockey compared to baseball, but I don't feel that way. I like the baseball developmental system better than I like the hockey developmental system. That's just my opinion, but then again, I'm opinionated basically about a lot of things. That shouldn't surprise you. And I don't think that should surprise any of my family or friends whatsoever that I'm very opinionated about a bunch of things. Yes, I might go off the wall and I might be crazy, but this is how I feel about the minor leagues. Minor league baseball is what gives the summertime an enjoying vacation. Look at Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, when I actually happened to go there a couple summers ago. And I happened to pass by the Myrtle Beach minor league stadium. And I said to my dad and my brothers, I'm like, let's see what this Myrtle Beach is home of. It's got to be home to the Atlanta Braves or one of the Florida teams, right? Wrong. It happened to be home to the Chicago Cubs. The affiliate, I'm like, what on planet Earth is the Chicago Cubs affiliate team doing in Myrtle Beach? But then yet again, I guess that's where they can find to develop their high A players. And that's a great attraction because you got the beach. And if you don't want to go to the beach or go on the boardwalk, you can go enjoy a night, have a beer, and enjoy minor league baseball. And enjoy the next best prospects, home or road team, and just have a great time. That's what minor league baseball is all about. And I would definitely miss minor league baseball if they just got rid of it altogether. And I definitely do not want to see minor league baseball gone. I'm fine with 4 levels of single A, high A, double A, and triple A before you get to the majors. But I don't want to see any more shortened season or any of this rookie ball stuff. If you're a 16, 17-year-old guy that gets signed as an international free agent, you go down to the lowest level, which is single A, and you take about 2 years. Fine. But no more of this rookie ball shortened season stuff. And with the coronavirus pandemic, teams are going to have to be cutting things anyways. And yes, I know it hurts the business of sports. But we have to look at it and say, this is what we got to do. And and this is how we have to deal with it. It's as simple as that. And I'm not going to miss, but I missed minor league baseball this year. And I really hope I get to see it next year. And I enjoyed watching the Binghamton Rumble and Ponies, where I used to live an hour 15 away in Pennsylvania in the Kingston area. It was like straight up 81. And now there's no more Binghamton, which I'm upset about. But I'm not far from Bowie. It's like a 40-minute drive. My dad and I and my brother, we went to a couple of the games. And there's also the Frederick Keys, also 40 minutes west. But for that note, I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend as well. The 4th of July weekend as well. And nonetheless, and stay safe, whatever you're doing nonetheless. I will be back on the air at the same time on Monday. I'll go over some potential NBA and NHL topics. I have some more regards to the 2020 NFL regular season here now, nonetheless. And maybe some NFL topics related to it here. Nonetheless, along with MLB Opening Day 2020 as well, nonetheless, use promo code 12Z Sports, all cash for deposits up to $1,000 for my bookie. All right, see you guys later.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Thursday, July 2nd episode of Pete's Power Plays, hosted by the one, the only King on the Ice himself, and fantasy lineup guru himself, Philly Pete, and we are live on 12 Ounce Sports and Zingo TV, channel 761. 12 Ounce Sports, baby. Here we go. Home for the best live shows and sports broadcasts. You know you can catch my show, Pete's Power Plays, and all the others on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. But now, you could also watch live on Zingo TV, channel 761. They have added the 12 Ounce Sports to their long list of channels. And now, if you're on your smart TV, just download the app, flip to channel 761 to catch all of our live 12 Ounce Sports programming, plus replays. All you got to do is download Zingo TV and use the promo code 12ounce. That's 12OZ, all one word, when signing up. It's that simple. And be sure to check out our latest blogs and podcasts as well on 12ouncesportsradio.com. Today's going to be a loaded day for sure. Last day of the week for me, ladies and gentlemen, before I kick off my 4th of July weekend, as I will be headed down to the Jersey Shore and enjoying some beautiful, beautiful sunshine down there, of course, with my lovely family and my wife as well. So I'm looking forward to get that kick started for sure. Yesterday was a big show. Today is even going to be bigger for sure. I'm going to talk about basically the live updates of the latest Stanley Cup odds, as well as Eastern Conference and Western Conference odds to win, respectively. Also, the updated series odds for the Cup, and basically should whoever represents Team E, should they tank? I want to go over a little bit of pros and cons about Team E in that situation for today as well. And also a successful night one of Fyter Fest, AEW's Fyter Fest that was on last night on TNT. I will give you a full recap on that. But however, before I get into my next topic, I want to tell you guys all about MyBookie.ag. Obviously, sports are coming back late this month. And why not? You don't want to miss all the action. Then over at MyBookie.ag, it is the place to be. It is the hottest website for gambling, and all those people out there that are ready to rock when sports do come back in about 4 weeks from now. You guys can enjoy MyBookie.ag, and what even better than that is that they will match your deposit up to $1,000. I do repeat that, $1,000. But you have to make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. That's 12OZ sports, all one word. When making your first deposit today, you don't want to miss it. Once again, you also don't want to miss to cash the ticket out from between NBA plays and NHL plays, of course, from yours truly, Philly Pete, as I give all my NHL plays out on Twitter for free. Also, and my clients that have been cashing out large this season so far as well. What better way to make your bets than MyBookie.ag, and of course, signing up to be a client of mine as well. But MyBookie.ag, make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. That's 12OZ sports, all one word, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. So make sure you do that today. A couple of my friends have signed up already as we speak, so I highly recommend MyBookie.ag. And now, if you just want to cure the itch until the end of the month, make sure you use MyBookie's Casino, blackjack, 3-card poker, roulette, whatever it may be. They have it all. So MyBookie.ag, 12ounce sports, all caps, all one word, as the promo code, and it will match your first deposit up to $1,000. And I repeat, $1,000. So let's get into it today. Last day of the week for my show, unfortunately, I know, but I will be back as always on Tuesday of next week. So first and foremost, I have the one, the only. She is the queen of the ice herself. It's been a little while, but she's going to talk to me right now about AEW Fyter Fest Night 1. Gina, welcome back. How are you doing?
Hey, everyone. How you doing? Hold your applause. Hold your applause.
So Gina's going to be on this. Obviously, we're going to go over the AEW Fyter Fest Night 1 and recap. It was a great, great show. Basically, every title was on the line except for the AEW Championship match, which will be on July 15th. The Fight for the Fallen. It is a AEW somewhat post-pay-per-view of Fyter Fest, but it will include basically Brian Cage versus Mox himself, Jon Moxley, for the championship belt. We all know that Moxley's wife, Renee Young, who is WWE backstage host, has committed positive for the coronavirus. So, of course, he has kept in contact with her, and he has been quarantined for 2 weeks, hence why this match has been delayed for 2 weeks. So we will see that on July 15th on TNT. Fight for the Fallen. Also, all the money and raisings go towards coronavirus relief funds. So that is a very, very good thing that the AEW is doing, and which should be a very, very good match. So let's get started, Gina, shall we? Let's start off with the first match of the night. Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus MJF and Wardlow. I was shocked to see that the Jurassic Express won that match, knowing
No.
how Wardlow and MJF have been killing it lately.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get your insight, Gina. What do you think about that match?
I thought that it was very entertaining, and I was a little bit shocked too. I really did think it was going to be a Wardlow MJF victory. But as we were discussing, as soon as the match ended, we were saying how I guess they want to keep MJF as a singles undefeated wrestler.
Yes.
So that makes sense, but it was a nice surprise.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, of course, you have the MJF's new attire with the Burberry trim with a pink robe and a green. I mean, he wrestled in pink tights and pink pads. I mean, he is just reminding me of a Rick Rude way back in the day. He was a very, very, basically a very bright colored, in terms of attire. So that was good. Jurassic Express, very, very good win. This was due for them as well since they did lose their singles contest. Jungle Boy lost to MJF at Double or Nothing, and Luchasaurus lost to Wardlow last week in the Lumberjack match. So this all made sense to me. I was not surprised. I know I did mention yesterday that the way that they've been successful, MJF and Wardlow would win. However, Jurassic Express, they continue their reigns, and that was a good win. Good win for them. So, moving on real quick, the AEW Women's Championship between Holy Shida, Hikaru Shida versus Philly's own and the lovely Penelope Ford. Gina, you're the talk of the town when it comes to the women's division for AEW. Let's get your insight on that match.
I want to say that I definitely was pleasantly surprised by this match. I kind of thought it was going to be a shutout with Shida winning. Obviously, I'm ecstatic that Shida won. But I think kudos to Penelope Ford. I always represent, the Philly girls. And, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought she put up a really good fight. It was probably really one of the better matches, if not then the best match I've seen from her since she started.
Yeah, and I agree there too. It all started in the beginning where Aubrey Edwards basically ejected Kip Sabian from any sort of interference, and then he took the kendo stick just so that Shida didn't have anything. A lot of Falcon Arrow slams, a lot of kickouts from Penelope. Penelope doing her thing. Shida kicking out. It was a back and forth match. It was great. Gina was on her seat. I was on my seat. A great women's championship match. And listen, the future is bright for Penelope Ford. I like everything that I see in her. She's only going to get better. But for now, it's going to be tough to get the belt off of Shida right now. She's going to hold the belt for a while.
Agree.
She's on top of the women's division. And listen, it is what it is. And once again, she comes worthy as a champion. And
her intro is pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. They both have great intros. But, Penelope has a bright future ahead of her. And you know what? Shida's going to hold this for a while. And I would not be surprised.
And that's good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too. All right, so moving on, we have the AEW TNT Championship match. The one, the only American Nightmare himself, Cody versus Jake Hager. What a match. Gina, go ahead.
It was good. It was very competitive. I knew both of them were gonna, bring their A game. I didn't see Cody do the crosswords. I was a little bit disappointed in that, but otherwise, I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I think this was a great match as well. Probably one of the best of the night, besides the Luchasaurus and MJF tag team match for sure. But I think, again, Cody Rhodes basically won by the skin of his teeth, and Gina's right. He did not use his finisher, Crossroads, and it was kind of tough not to see that, especially in a somewhat pay-per-view sort of show, and for the belt nonetheless. But a lot of aerodynamics, a lot of air supply for Cody, jumping off the air on the ropes. He was doing everything. Listen, he took advantage of Jake Hager. I thought Hager was going to put a little bit more of a showing on, and a little bit of interference from Hager's wife, which was expected, of course. But at the end of the day, here the right person won. I just didn't think Hager was going to win this match. Cody's going to hold this belt for a very long time as well.
I
I
think so,
really,
too.
truly think so. Great match, great showing from both guys. Hager did do his best, but Cody, at the end of the day, did get the reverse pin and basically win by the skin of his teeth. And it's funny how Hager thought he won.
Yeah,
at the end.
I was just thinking that he thought he won, and I was like, oop, nope. But I also want to mention that Jake Hager did a move where Cody kind of landed high on his neck, and remember he stopped for a minute just to kind of get his bearings, and I think my heart went into my stomach, like, oh, that looked very, very painful, and it looked scary, but I was glad that he was able to shake it off and finish the match.
Yep. And I agree. And then after the match, basically the cold heart that he is punched out the referee out of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Everything stopped. Referees came out, told him to leave the facility. I mean, it was insane. It's great. It's a great finish to a great match. And honestly, I think this Hager Cody match was so much better than the Moxley AEW Championship match that was a couple weeks ago. It was the no holds barred fight against Jon Moxley. But this match had a better, the pace of this match was better. It was quicker, and the moves just flowed out so much better. So I'm glad Cody retained, and he's going to be retained for a while.
I agree. Sometimes when they go outside the ring and then they go in the stands, it's just like, oh my God, sometimes. But this one was really good. I thought it was a good match, appropriate match, and they stayed in the same place the whole time.
All right. Okay, so moving on. Private Party alongside Matt Hardy versus the Inner Circle teammates of Santana and Ortiz. What can I say here? This was a great, great win and a surprising win, to say the least, for the Private Party. I'm very, very happy. Now, Private Party gets to fight Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the AEW Tag Team Champions next week on night 2, just because of the Mox Brian Cage fight that is going to be delayed due to the speculation of Mox. However, Private Party, great showing. We finally saw the Gin and Juice finisher.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Love that move. It's phenomenal. They escaped the Street Sweeper that is Santana Ortiz's finisher, and they go right for the Gin and Juice for the win here. Like Santana and Ortiz, the loss was lamentable. They didn't need it. It's not their time to rise yet, but they will. Time will be there for them. I think this match belonged to the Private Party just to get their resume stronger. And, lo and behold, here you go. Next week, they fight the tag champions of Omega and Hangman. What'd you think about that match real quick?
Well, it's really a nice bump for them.
Yeah.
And, again, fighting, part of the Inner Circle, which is, they're establishing themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I did like how they had a little push of one of the members of Private Party just fought Cody not too long ago, which was okay. They're coming back into the scene, and then they have this match, and again, like they did their finisher, and it was a good match, and I mean, how awesome is that? They get to fight the champs next week, which I want to say a side note first about AEW. Thanks for not putting like a squash match in there and putting like a championship title in place of the Mox match next week. Yeah. So basically time not wasted. So I'm happy that they're making another championship match, and I thought this one was good. I'm definitely looking forward to next week.
All right, and then real quick, the main event, the AEW Tag Team Championship match. The best friends of Trent and Chucky versus the tag champs themselves of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. First and foremost, shout out to Trent's mom for bringing them in on the soccer mom van in the beginning of the intro. That was phenomenal. That reminds me, as a child myself growing up, and I remember going to school in Philly back in the day and walking to school, and always every other house I'd turn around to wave back to my mother, and that's exactly what Trent did too. He kept waving back to her, "See ya," as he got closer to the ring, turned around, waved again, "See ya, Mom." That's exactly what I did. I told Gina that last night. That reminds me of my childhood days as well, saying bye to my mother when I would be walking to school. But great match overall. I like the concept of it. It was great all around. Orange Cassidy did come out to confront Chris Jericho, just to hang out there. But this was a great match. I had a feeling that Hangman and Omega would not lose these belts, at least not to best friends. But, it is what it is. I'm glad this was a great match. And the better team won. So the buckshot from Hangman himself is what did it, and a lot of odds and ends in this match. It was just a lot of back and forth, but at the end of the day, the right team won, and Omega and Hangman reclaimed the belts. Gina, real quick.
I liked when his mom stuck her head out the window and she called him back to get a kiss.
Yeah.
And she said, "Have fun."
Yeah.
In her mom voice, that was great. We were cracking up with that. But you know, it was a nice like tongue in cheek kind of to the FTR.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we get a ride too. But from my mom, of course, you know, shout out to all the moms there doing drop offs and dads. But anyway, the match was good. I liked it. Like I said, I agree. I didn't think that they were going to lose, the Omega and Hangman Page. But it was a great match. It was long and like back and forth and very entertaining.
All right. Well, side notes real quick from the Fyter Fest Night 1. It was a beach party vibe. Swimsuit models were out there. Palm trees were out there. Le Champion obviously gives us all laughs on commentary, as the Le Champion always does. I always have fun when he's on the mic. You stupid idiot! Next week's broadcast will have a puppy battle royal. Yes, you heard that correctly. The hype of the town. Also, a side note, Joey Janela tried to fight Lance Archer in the fan section while Roberts basically laughed his ass off. And, you know, the whole technique by Taz was highlighted by Moxley's paradigm shift. Another side note there, Taz is always excellent, obviously, on talking as well. Obviously, and then, of course, Orange Cassidy taunted Chris Jericho with his presence at the commentary table. Jericho also did his best to, you know, to just have everything flow like water, because that's how he is. He's always on the go. He's always on the run. Whatever he says, it goes, and it goes very, very well. But eventually he lost his cool and had to be separated from Mr. OC Orange Cassidy himself, which is great. That's all next week. Darby Allin, also a little promo of a skating vigilante with a pretty badass backflip stunt that they had on replay. That was unreal. That was unreal.
We both looked at each other. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but that concludes the AEW Fyter Fest Night 1. Next week, TNT Night 2, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Gina, anything else you want to say to the fans before you log off?
I definitely liked Chris Jericho's jacket for Canada Day. That was pretty cool.
That's right.
I
it was nice.
Happy that he was representing, and still, you know, I think we both were cracking up when he came out there. But anyway, definitely looking forward to next week. Should be good. Should definitely be good.
All right. Well, Gina, thank you so much for your time for the first portion of my show. Always a pleasure with you, Gina, and I sure will be talking to you very soon.
Thank yous.
So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, before I get to my next topic, that is the queen on the ice herself, Gina Tucci. She is logging off for the day. But before I get into the NHL odds real quick, mybookie.ag, please make sure you guys log in and get an account with MyBookie. Make sure you use the promo code 12ounce sports. It's all one word, 12OZ sports. When signing up on mybookie.ag, they will match your first deposit up to $1,000. You also really don't want to cash your tickets at all when it comes to NBA and NHL season. And of course, my plays, like always, Philly Pete's NHL plays that I always give out to the fans on Twitterverse for free. My free plays, and of course, my clients that get that VIP access. Also don't forget my. I always give out a client play for free here and there as well. So you see my record, 149.4 units on the season so far. Yes, that is right, 149.4, an unreal run. Last year, I had about plus 85 units on the season. Pretty darn good. This year, basically almost doubling that. Clients are happy. I'm happy. That's all that matters. So hop on board today at The Real Pete Tooch. I will give you all my packages in terms of NHL playoff package. Also, my daily fantasy football lineups from DraftKings and FanDuel is in a same package together, or you can get both packages together, which includes the NHL playoffs as well as the daily fantasy lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel. I have the prices out. 3 packages. You let me know. Get at my DM at The Real Pete Tooch. Let me know what you want. I'm also here to answer all your questions when it comes to fantasy football and hockey as well in terms of plays. Whatever you need, you let me know. MyBookie.ag is the place to be. 12ounce sports is your promo code, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. So definitely do that. So here we go. Real quick here. The Eastern Conference winner odds posted right now. Bruins 2-1. Whopping 2-1. They are the favorite to win here. Flyers 4-1. They are basically a third favorite. Tampa, 3-1. So you have Boston at 2-1, Tampa at 3-1, Flyers at 4-1. It is jarbled. It is pretty much garbled and clustered in the East. Capitals 4-1 as well. That is crazy, crazy odds. Pittsburgh 7-1. Obviously, as the 5 seed as they play the Canadians in the first round. A little bit of a value bet here if you want to take a chance with somebody. The Rangers at basically 25-1, playing some excellent hockey right now, and it's great to see. So they're at plus 2,500. The Rangers, that would be a very, very good card, a very dark horse for sure. At those odds specifically too, in the way that they've been playing. So 25-1 for the Rangers to win the Eastern Conference. Clients already had the 33-1 for Carolina to win the Stanley Cup. They're also 25-1 as well, just like the Rangers to win the Eastern Conference. The Maple Leafs, if they can play to their potential, the 12-1 value on this is very, very good too, and especially that they don't have to move anywhere and they're staying in Toronto for the Eastern Conference playoffs. By all means, at 12-1, this has very, very good potential here for those Toronto Maple Leafs fans out there. But it is such a clustered Eastern Conference with 5 teams under 7-1 odds. It's unreal. Boston, Tampa, Flyers, Washington, and Pittsburgh, respectively. That's 5 brutal teams to basically play when it comes to the Eastern Conference. Moving on to the Western Conference real quick, you have the basically you have the Knights at 2-1. They went from 3 to 2-1 just like that. The Avalanche 3-1, not far behind them. Dallas went from a 7-1 to a 5-1. Dallas is moving up as well. Blues as well, 3-1. So you have Vegas 2-1, Blues 3-1, Avalanche 3-1, Dallas Stars 5-1. These are the 4 teams, obviously, that have the buys as well. They represent the top 4 seeds in the West. But the dark horse for Philly Pete as well when it comes to this, you got to look at the Edmonton Oilers at 12-1, plus 1,200. This is some good odds as well. If this team, just like Toronto, if Edmonton can play to their potential at these odds at 12-1, it is worth taking for them to go into the Stanley Cup and win the Western Conference by far. So that sounds good to me. And if you want a little ticket on that, by all means, take the Edmonton Oilers at 12-1. Now, an absolute long shot, the Arizona Coyotes at 20-1 plus 2,000. Again, of course, if this team doesn't want to tank to get Alexis Lafreniere, he's the way. The Coyotes are the way to go. But I just feel like now, they might want to tank, and I will get into that shortly, real quick. But I think Edmonton Oilers at 12-1 is a very, very good value play here for Philly Pete to win the Western Conference. And again, the Coyotes, if they play to their potential as well, I know it's a long shot, but at plus 2,000, you're getting your bang for your buck here. So once again, outside of the top 4 in the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers and the Arizona Coyotes are good underdog, dark horses, value plays to take when it comes to winning the Western Conference. Now, Stanley Cup odds real quick. Bruins 5-1, Colorado 8-1, Dallas Stars 14-1, Flyers 10-1. They were 15-1 a couple weeks ago. Penguins 15-1, Blues 7-1, Tampa 5-1, Golden Knights 6-1, Caps 7-1. So again, a lot of potential out here. This is a very, very open Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup odds for sure. But again, like I said, my clients already have the Avalanche. They have the Avs. They have the Carolina Hurricanes as a dog Stanley Cup bet for sure. That's out there as well. They also have the Dallas Stars. So Colorado, Dallas, Carolina, and last but not least, they have the of course, the Flyers is a personal play of yours truly, but the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. They got them earlier in the season at 9-1, so you know how they always fail, but this is what it's coming to about. But those 4 teams specifically is the client plays for sure. I know I'm missing one of them out there too, but of course I have to get back into my notes from last off season going into this year is where I have all of my future bets for the clients. So stay tuned for sure. But again, real quick, series odds. I want to go over this before I quickly talk about the tanking. Predators minus 130 over the Coyotes. Edmonton Oilers minus 165. No dramatic changes. The Leafs are minus 165 to Columbus is plus 145. Canucks minus 135 to the Wild plus 115. I love the Canucks there. That is my lock for a series. The Canucks at minus 135. They are my lock to win. Islanders and Panthers are basically a pick. Penguins minus 140. Canadians plus 200. I expect that to go 5 games at the value of plus 450. Take that as well to go to length. Hurricanes, Rangers. I have the Rangers as my dog value of a series at plus 120. And then the Flames, Jets. Again, I like the Flames here in this situation too. The Jets have trouble on defense, and really it depends on Hellebuyck to keep the team in the game. I could see this going 5 games as well, but I do like the Flames to be victorious against Winnipeg. So real quick, would an NHL team really tank the play-in round? Yeah, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. The Sens won the 3rd overall pick, and of course they have 3 and 5. The Kings moved up to number 2. And here you go, a 2.5% chance, and that is Team E to win. Now, the odds basically, as you can see, Columbus Blue Jackets have an 8% chance of losing in the first round and getting the number one overall pick. The Canadians, 7.8%, also has the second best odds to get the first pick in the draft. Now, this is when it gets fishy because the Arizona Coyotes could easily lose to Nashville Predators with a 7.5% chance of getting the first pick in the draft. They all have to stay tuned to each other and see what happens here. You know, they're all thinking the same thing. I mean, Jets, same thing, 7.3, Rangers, 7.2, and the list goes on and on from there. But listen, the Jackets and the Leafs are on opposite ends, obviously, because of the chart. But, you know, the Leafs, we know, are probably going to win the series. And Columbus, by all means, if they have a chance to lose it, just tank. Just tank. You know, Lafreniere could be a Blue Jacket. Hell, he could be a Coyote. We'll see. It just depends how these teams want to play. You know, it just depends here. But Dom L of The Athletic has a statistical model of the NHL created for each play-in team to win the first overall pick. So obviously, in their odds of losing to their play-in opponent, it's multiplied their odds for the lottery 12.5%. So obviously, the Jackets lead the way at 8% to get that first overall pick. And, you know, speaking roughly here, the Avalanche have poor odds against who they're most likely to play in the 2nd and 4th rounds. And, you know, I don't like their odds to play anybody in the East. So, but to me, honestly, I just think that the pros to tanking, so for a team like the Leafs, the odds of winning the Cup or getting Lafreniere are about 5%, 4.5%. But obviously for the Jackets, it's 8%, as I just mentioned. So, you know, does a team really want to go through all this through a pandemic, yada, yada? But to me, I just think that, you know, you had the first overall pick. It reduces COVID health risk, of course, by losing early. And just need to win 1 lottery versus 4 rounds of playoffs. So cons, obviously, you know, no player would ever do it, obviously. GM would get flamed for proposing it. And it's possible teams would have to remain in the bubble even after being eliminated. So I think we're going to get a lot of finger-pointing and chaos after the play-in round when we find out the winners and losers. The lack of talent discrepancy, however, among most of the teams in the play-in, plus the classic hockey randomness factor, there's going to be a lot of interesting teams in the mix for the first overall pick. Again, it could be the Blue Jackets, it could be the Coyotes, it could also be the Habs. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, none of them will be, obviously, one of our favorite teams that are a top 4 contender. But unfortunately, I'm out of time. That wraps my week. I'm headed down the shore. Hope everyone has a phenomenal 4th of July weekend. Stay safe, stay sane, and I will talk to you all again on Tuesday. See you guys, and have a great, great weekend.